Everyone, this is first video of Spring Boot interview series. So in this series, I am going to explain very important Spring Boot interview question for freshers and as well experienced candidates. So I will explain each question in single slide and with code snippet as well. So let's start. First question is, what is Spring Boot? Actually, Spring Boot is an open source framework that is built on top of the Spring framework. It means whatever features you are getting in Spring framework, everything you will get in Spring Boot as well. On top of that, you will get more additional features in Spring Boot. And that simplifies the development of Java-based applications. It is designed to make it easier to create standalone production grade Spring based application with minimal configurations. Let me tell you one example. Let's say if you are connecting database in Spring MVC, you have to create beans using XML tags. When it comes to Spring Boot, there is no need of XML tags actually. You need to configure database configurations in application properties file. The Spring Boot will detect database configurations based on the class path. It means dependencies. So it will create bean for you. So it reduces a lot of boilerplate code. Next question we will go. What are the advantages of Spring Boot? So the main advantages of Spring Boot included auto configuration. Automatically configure the Spring and third-party libraries based on the project dependencies. As I told in last slide, so if you are connecting database, you have to add the Spring starter in pom.xml. So based on that class path, Spring Boot will create data source object. Next one, standalone. Spring Boot applications can run as standalone Java applications. Third one, production ready. It includes features like metrics, health checks, and externalizer configurations. Once you deploy application in your production server, you need to check the metrics and health, whether the application is up or down, how much memory utilized, what are the beans got created. So using Spring Boot actuators, you can figure out all the things. That's why it is called production ready. And it's very important, microservices ready. See, the ideal for building microservices due to its lightweight and a modular design. Let's say these days all applications are modernized microservices. If you want to build microservices application, Spring Boot will give lot of features to achieve that. Next question will go. What are the main features of Spring Boot? Major features of Spring Boot are auto configuration, automatically configure your Spring application based on dependencies that you have added in pom.xml. Second one, standalone. Spring Boot applications can be run from command line as well. Third one, production ready. It includes built-in features for monitoring and managing your application. Microservices, and it's very flexible to build microservices. Next question. What are differences between Spring and Spring Boot? This is very frequently asked interview question for freshers as well experienced candidates. So let's see. Configuration. Spring requires extensive XML configuration for Java. XML based configuration we need more in a Spring application. But when it comes to Spring Boot, it's not required. It will offer auto configuration and minimal setup. Next one is setup. Spring projects typically need manual setup and configuration, while Spring Boot provides default configuration and embedded server. Let's say if you are building Spring MVC application, you need to add Tomcat server externally. So that is not required when it comes to Spring Boot. Next one, dependencies. Spring Boot includes a variety of dependencies and auto configurations out of the box, reducing the need of manual dependency management. Let me tell you with one example. So if you are connecting database in Spring MVC, you have to add the if you are connecting to MySQL, you have to add MySQL jar file that you have to download manually from Maven. But when it comes to Spring Boot, you just need to add uh, MySQL starters in your pom.xml file. So the Spring Boot will detect and compatible version to your Spring Boot. It will download MySQL dependencies from parent POM actually. Next question. How does Spring Boot simplify the development? This is also a very important question. So Spring Boot simplify development by reducing configurations, providing default configuration and auto configuration options. Next one is embedded server. So it includes embedded server like Tomcat. So if you don't want Tomcat, you can still exclude the Tomcat and you can add Jetty as well. So eliminating the need of external server setup. This is one good feature actually. Third one, Spring Boot starter project. It's kind of hot actually for Spring Boot application. So it will offering pre-configured dependencies set up for command task. So the Spring Boot starters I will show with small code snippet in upcoming slides. Next one, what are Spring Boot starters? Spring Boot starters are a setup convenient dependency description you can include in your project. They are simplify the process of adding commonly used dependencies. Let's say if you are building the web application, you just need to add this Spring Starter web in your pom.xml. What is use of @ Spring Boot application annotation? The @ Spring Boot application annotation is used to mark the class as main class of a Spring Boot application. It is a combination of @configuration, @enable auto configuration, and @component scan. It enables auto configuration and component scan. Let me tell you high level view of these three. So @configuration is used to create the bean of the class. @auto configuration is used to create beans automatically based on the class path. Third one, @component scan. So our main class is the it has different package and all child classes are will call the nested packages. So thus whenever you are starting the Spring Boot app, it will scan all the packages and it will based on the annotations the Spring will create beans for that classes. So that's the reason we are using @component scan. You can declare the explicitly what is the packages also. Next one, what is Spring Boot dependency management? The Spring Boot Spring Boot manages dependencies by providing default version and configuration for commonly used libraries through its starter dependencies. It helps avoiding version conflicts and simplifies the dependency management. Let me tell you one simple example. So I am using Spring Boot 2. So I am connecting MySQL server. So I directly added Spring Boot starter in my pom.xml. So I no need to declare which version it has to use explicitly. The Spring will it manage dependency also, like default versioning also. Not only it related to the database connection, it can be anything. Let's say Lombok, it might be some other also. What are Spring Boot properties? Spring Boot properties are configuration settings that can be defined in application properties or application YML file to customize the behavior of your application as well. So in simple term, your application will run by default 8080 port, but in your system already you are used 808 for some other application, so your application will not run. So by the time in application properties file or YML file, you can declare port number explicitly. Also here if you see, this is this configuration for database connection. The main difference between application properties and YML, the structure you are declaring. In YML you need to write minimal code. In application properties you will write repeated code. I will show in upcoming slides with some examples. Next one, how to connect Spring Boot to database. So to connect your application to database, you have to use Spring Data JPA and that particular database starter as well. So here I'm connecting to H2 database. So here I added H2 database starters. So here I didn't declare any version explicitly. The Spring will take care which version is required to my Spring Boot application. Based on Spring Boot version, it will download jars from parent POM. Second one, you have to give the your data source properties in your application properties file. You no need to use application properties file. You can use YML file as well. So here I given my database URL, driver class name, username, password, and dialect as well. So using these two, you can achieve. You can connect your application to database, any database server. Next question, can we disable the default web server in Spring Boot application? Yeah, it is possible. You can disable the default web server in Spring Boot application by using following properties. So in your application properties file, you have to declare spring.main.web application type none. Using this, you can achieve. So the next one, how to disable a specific auto configuration class. This is very important for senior developers. Let me tell you how you can do that. You can exclude any specific auto configuration class by using @ Spring Boot application annotation with the exclude attribute. So actually in any annotation you can give attributes as well. So here we are using @ Spring Boot annotation. Here we are using exclude attribute if you see here. So what will happen whenever the component scan will happen, by that time Spring will detect these classes. So after detecting these classes, Spring will not create beans for these classes. So here I am declared data source configuration. So the Spring will not create bean for data source class. Can we create a non-web application with Spring Boot? Yeah, we can create using a spring.main web application type. We can achieve. So next one, how do you handle exceptions in Spring Boot application? This is 99.99% in all Spring Boot developer interviews they are asking. This is mostly important for experienced developers. Even freshers also knowing it's very good for them also. It will give good impression for interviewers. So you can handle exceptions using @controller advice and @exception handler. So the main reason behind asking this question, you have a big application, but you want to declare exceptions in single class. This is called global exception handler. It will call. So you have to declare one global exception handler. On top of the class, you can use controller advice or @REST controller advice as well. So here I declared a exception type. This is for generic. So here I have to declare my custom exception class, but here I given a main parent class exception, but here you can give your custom exception as well. So using these two annotation, we can achieve you can implement global exception in your Spring Boot application. Here you can declare multiple type of exceptions as well, but you need to declare this one in your try catch block. So the user will understand better. Using this, you can send better message for front end team. So next question, what is Swagger in Spring Boot? So basically, I can you are providing a web server, web services. These are using by some third party. So basically, you return some endpoints actually. So you want to tell you to the client, these are the endpoints, get, post, and what are the parameters, what is the request body if you want to pass. For that, here we have to use the Swagger UI actually. So Swagger is a tool used to document and REST APIs in Spring Boot. You can integrate Swagger using the SpringFox Swagger 2 and SpringFox Swagger UI. So once you add these two dependencies, two starters, yeah, you can implement a Swagger, so you can provide your API documentation to your clients as well. I will do one separate video on Swagger UI, how you can integrate, how you can expose to your clients your endpoints. I will do it in one specific video. Please let me know if you want. Next one, how do you implement security in Spring Boot application? This is very frequently asked interview question for experienced developers. To implement security, add the Spring Boot starter security dependency in your pom.xml. Then configure security settings using @configuration and @web security. So here I am extending the web security adapter class and I am overriding the configuration method. So using this we can implement enabling Spring security in our Spring Boot app. But a recent Spring 3 version, you no need to extend web security configuration. You can use there is some annotation instead of extending this class, and they optimized more code in a Spring 3 version actually. If you want any video on Spring Boot Spring security, please let me know. I'll do video on that. Next one, what is Spring Data JPA and how does it different from Hibernate? Every fresher should know. They should not confuse the difference between Spring Data JPA and Hibernate. So here, Spring Data JPA is a part of Spring Data project that simplifies database access and integration JPA with Spring. Hibernate is a JPA implementation. Spring Data JPA provides an additional functionalities like repositories, query methods to easy data access. So let me tell you a simple example. Spring Boot is like base. Hibernate is base. On top of Hibernate, they build Spring Data JPA. So here, the Spring Data JPA is using everything from Hibernate. It is created an abstraction. It reduces a lot of boilerplate code, so the developer directly create repositories and they can perform the DB operations in their repo methods. So I will create some separate video. What are the important concepts you should know in Spring Data JPA, and how you can insert bulk data into your database. I will show you in upcoming videos. So how do you configure multiple data sources in your Spring Boot app? Multiple data sources means your application has to connect to different databases. So you can connect you in Spring Boot. Actually, you have to create two data sources beans, and you have to declare data source configurations for two different data source configurations in your application properties as well. So here what I'm doing, let's see, here I created a data source configuration class. Inside this I created a two beans for data source. One is for one, we have two different DBs we are connecting here. So one is I given primary because by default this is the database we have to use. If you want to use some other database means you have to use the qualifier annotation, and here I given properties @ properties. Inside I given the property structure for my primary database. So Spring data source dot primary, it will use it for primary database as well for secondary also I declared. So doing like this, it will reduce your application performance and it will increase your lot of challenges. Connecting two databases is easy, but maintaining and at high level traffic, it will lag your application performance. Because when I implemented in my project, I had a lot of challenges. So next question, what is the purpose of auto-wide annotation? It's too simple. Auto-wide annotation is used for dependency injection. It is allows Spring to automatically inject the required beans into the class. So instead of creating manually beans, we will use this auto-wide annotation. So the Spring will manage bean creation and destruction as well. So next question, how do you handle CORS in your Spring Boot? Why CORS will come in your if you work with Angular and Spring Boot means your Angular application is running on different port and your Spring Boot app running in different port. When you try to call your backend endpoint, the browser will throw the CORS. So we have to configure this in your Spring Boot application globally. To configure globally, you have to implement the WebMAC, and here you have to provide the which origin the server has to accept. Here I given my front end port and URL. This is for localhost. When it comes to production, you have to give your production link and methods which are allowed by the server for this origin. So here I am allowing get, post, put and delete methods, and I am accepting all type of endpoints here. That's why I given this stars. Next one, what are the annotations used to create an interceptors in Spring Boot? So let me tell you what are interceptors. So in your Spring Boot app is actually it's a different layers. Let's say whenever you are sending any request to your Spring Boot app, it will first reaches your dispatcher servlet. After it will go to the filters. After filters, it will reach um, Spring ecosystem, handler mapper, um, interceptors, and it will by the end it will reach the your controller. So these interceptors are used to calculate the each request time, how much the request is taking to process completely. And let's say if in your request any encrypted data if it is coming means, if you want to decrypt before it reaching your controller, you can use this interceptors. So to create interceptors, use the at the rate of component annotation to define its in Spring Bean and implement the handler interceptor interface. So to register interceptors, we have to implement the WebMAC configuration interface, and you have to create the you have to override here that add interceptors method. After that, you can implement this handler interceptor interface. You can provide your logics over here, encryption or decryption something based on your need. You can process your logics in this my interceptor class. This question we covered. How to implement caching in your Spring Boot app? The main reason behind using caching to improve your application performance, instead of hitting the DB every time, you are uh, putting the data in cache and send it to the users whenever he requested. To implement caching, we have to add the Spring Boot starter cache dependency and enable caching with at the rate of enable caching annotation. So this starter we at Spring cache starter we have to use in pom.xml. After you have to create the at the rate of here I created a custom bean class for at the rate of caching. So here I can provide some custom implementations for caching. Let's say it should not cross 2 GB limit for caching. It's kind of that. So here I am using at the rate of cacheable annotation to cache the data. So this is the method level annotation. So my cache is the key. Whatever value you are getting, that will be the value. So this is for EH cache, but you can still implement Redis and all for high performance. How to configure Spring Boot app for asynchronous processing? First, we will know what is use of asynchronous processing. Let's say I am booking a movie ticket. After booking the ticket, I will get the confirmation email from the that server or the app. So whenever after the booking processing, I need to send the email. So I will put the sending email part in asynchronously. So once the booking is confirmed, the user will see your booking is confirmed successfully. In still background, I will send this notification because it will use it to improve the user experience. Not only for this is one case, there are a lot of other cases in real-time applications as well. I will create a separate video and I will do small project on this. So to implement asynchronous programming, here you have to use at the rate of enable async annotation. This you have to use in your Spring Boot main class actually. After you can use at the rate of async annotation on top of your method. This method will executed by different thread. So you can configure how many threads required for your asynchronous processing. Also you can declare some separate bean class as well. You can declare how many tasks could be in the queue and all. So that is the best approach for production applications. What is purpose of component scan in your class file? So this component scan will be in your main class of Spring Boot app. So whenever you are starting application, right? So the Spring will scan all the packages, and if it's find any of these annotations, it will create beans for that. So your application, if it is too large, means if you want to skip some packages to create beans, you can use this component scan for your specific packages. So doing like this, it will improve your application startup time. So what is use of Spring Boot actuators? The main use is once you deploy your application in our production, if you want to check the application is up or not, and how many beans got created, how much heap area got allocated. To do that, you have to add actuator starter in a POM file, and after that you can access these endpoints. These are the two endpoints I am showing here, but there are several endpoints. I will do separate video on this. So next one, how do you enable HTTPS in your Spring Boot app? So if you are not using HTTPS, your requests are not secure. So if you want make your app HTTPS, you have to add SSL configuration. You have to buy SSL certification for your organization, that you have to keep it in your app. And this SSL configurations, you have to do it in your application properties. Then your requests are too secure, because using this SSL keys, the request is got encrypted before it's sending to the app. So next question,